What is up, everybody? I'm your host Sean with Paper Planes, and welcome back to my Dark Souls 2 Ultimate Walkthrough. Before we go any further in the game, we're going to backtrack a little bit, and we're going to go back to the Forest of Fallen Giants, to the Cardinal Tower bonfire. So we're going to go to the Lost Bastille, but we're going to go a different route first. And this is a bonfire that you can access by visiting the Crow's Nest after you defeat the boss, the Pursuer, at his location where the ballistas are. So we don't need to do any fighting, we're just going to run through here real quick. There will be some mobs. They might get a few hits on you, but that's okay. You can just continually bypass these guys. So they're going to come at us right here. I usually like to do a little roll once I get about halfway through there. You can of course kill these guys if you want, but there's really no need. That guy will usually hit you, so you want to try to roll as well. We'll go through here where the fog gate would normally be. Also, if you want to turn around and fight these guys now, you can use those ballistas to your advantage as well. But what we're gonna do here is head up these stairs and go to the Crow's Nest. And I didn't do this before because we would have had to backtrack after we got the Drangling armor set, and there was really no reason to do that yet. But now we have a great opportunity to go here, and you'll see why we're doing this in a moment. It benefits us in multiple ways, and I'll explain that as we progress. Ooh, I look fancy. My character looks totally retarded, by the way. I clearly do not play the game to look cool. Okay, so here we are. Tap the bonfire. There's no reason to avoid it at this point. We haven't killed any enemies, and if we die, we want to be right back here. So, just in case, be sure to do that. There's nothing over here. Don't think that there's something to gain from that. So immediately you can see this guy off in the distance, and he actually can't get to us from where he's standing unless we come to him through a different way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and range kill him. That's why he's kind of backing off. He sees us, but he knows that he can't actually do anything about it right now. Nice. Come on, souls. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is head over to the left. Do not walk over the top of this thing just yet. We're gonna get our shield back on. Don't turn around, just grab this loot. You're not gonna fall down here, don't worry about that. Now there's gonna be an archer in front of the first window that we approached, but now it's the second window, so the furthest window from where we're standing. So you can go ahead and grab your melee item. Well, whenever I decide to actually drop down on him. This is horrible. I can't fall down for some reason. There we go. Alright, so get off the targeting. And you see those doggies below? All you need to do is walk into this barrel. Do not swing your weapon at it. It will explode and do a hell of a lot of damage. So we're just going to walk into it. There we go. Things aren't going as well as they should be right now. Every time I'm explaining something, it's not working out just how I expect it to. So there we go. That barrel should kill all enemy dogs down here. So this is something I need to point out in this stage very early on. While we're in the Lost Bastille, do not just swing your sword at barrels. Rolling into barrels will not make them explode, even if they're explosive barrels. But hitting them with melee weapons can cause them to explode, so you want to be careful. See, rolling into that thing is totally okay. So we're going to loot this. This is just something from the dog. it's not always sitting there, of course. There's a ladder there, and we'll go there in a second. Now this is the same area that was just we could just see from this ledge here. Be careful, there's a hole right there, and it's not there for any kind of loot purposes, it's just death. And this is one of the biggest reasons we came out here. We're going to get the Silver Serpent Covetous Ring. I think it's, yeah, the Covetous Silver Serpent Ring. I probably messed that up in every time I mention that item. And an Antiquated Key. So let's go ahead and take a look at these items real quick. Alright, so this is pretty simple, but I'll go ahead and read the whole status here. A silver ring depicting the snake, both the servant and manifestation of the god of greed, Xandro. Greed is traditionally viewed as a vice, but only a fool allows that to ruin a good opportunity. So equipping this item on your early playthroughs, your early levels, when you're trying to build up your soul count and trying to level up your character, trying to upgrade your equipment is a great idea by wearing the Silver Serpent Ring. Later on in the game, it doesn't really matter that much because you're probably not putting such a premium on souls and you're more just going through the game, trying to fight enemies, trying to get upgrade materials that you might not be able to buy. So souls have a premium early on in your playthroughs, whether it's your original playthrough, New Game 1 or New Game 2. Those things, you'll be able to decide how important this ring is to you personally. I don't really put such a premium on this item because it's rare that I'm farming. I just go with what I've got. I don't like to farm. It is something that you can do, but this is a game, and I like to use the intended challenge that souls are precious. So if you can farm them, you're kind of making the game turn out to be something somewhat of a job, and that's just not something that I enjoy. But I totally understand it if you do it, and I've actually helped people farm many times in the past. So I will not equip this item right now just because I don't want to get my soul count too far ahead of anyone else who's following through this walkthrough who might not equip it. That could be a huge disparity in the later levels where we're in episode like 20 or 30 and I've got a lot more souls than you do because I was wearing this ring and you weren't. So I'm not going to equip this item, but if you do, you're going to be in a better position than I am later on in the game if you're just following me step for step. You'll just have more souls. So it's a good item, but it's just not something that we require. Let's see, we'll go check out that key. And the key we're going to use a lot, mainly in here, but it's something that's good to pick up early because we'll be able to access a few doors that we couldn't previously. So, a very old key. This key is very old, but in very good condition, such that it should still function. Only what lock does this key fit? And we'll figure that out pretty soon. Okay, so we're going to continue on. We're going to go back to this ladder over here. Now, if you see an enemy here, that's because you didn't kill that guy that was on the pathway here, like we did when we first started the episode with ranged attack. So that's the only reason that another enemy would be standing here or in this doorway. So you can alleviate that by killing him with the ranged attack like we did earlier. Now this stuff will explode here. You do not want to blow it up, just roll. And it's there for a reason, but we get this is basically a shortcut, so we avoid having to use those explosive barrels to open this door by taking this shortcut. So I'll explain that further in a second when we get an opportunity to delve into that. Now you can see that there's enemies down there, but they're too far away to worry about at this moment. We can safely talk to the NPC, and because we've spoke to this NPC previously, we initiated their quest line. Anytime, like I've said this in multiple episodes before, when you encounter an NPC, you want to exhaust all their conversation options. And what I mean by that is talk to them until they start repeating themselves. And you don't necessarily have to pay attention to what they say. Sometimes you should, but if you're just kind of speeding through the game and you don't really care so much about the lore, more often than not, it's okay to just tap A until they start repeating themselves. I'm going to do that. But they're going to give us an item,
What? Of course.
So we got a human effigy, and they pretend to know. They pretend to claim that they don't understand what the human effigy is, which I think is total bullshit. Because then they go on to explain to you what hollowing is and souls and whatnot, and it's just kind of weird. Alright, so they're definitely done with their conversation piece. Now, the next time we come back here, if we've traveled through another zone or we die and we tap a bonfire, this NPC will have moved on, so they continue throughout their quest line. So before we get into combat with them, we're going to roll through these boxes here. I just do that for the fun of it, actually. It's not necessary. But we're going to walk up this little ramp. Take your time. Nothing's more frustrating than just a simple fall. I think I've probably died more in Dark Souls from falls than actual enemy kills. And it's always because I'm being impatient. So we get a large Titanite shard, and that's very valuable for us in this early going. It's actually because we haven't had the opportunity to have more large Titanite shards, we haven't upgraded some of our equipment to the next level. So we're going to go back to our staff here. And we've got this enemy totally unaware of our existence, so we can go back to our binoculars. And we're doing a lot more damage because we're up close. The last guy that was like this that we killed, he took a lot more hits, but that was because he was further away. So if that's something you haven't realized yet, the power of your sorceries, same thing with arrows, if they have to travel very far, they're slightly less effective. So we're going to have some dogs here too, and they're really difficult to see. But they're kind of weak, so you want to switch to lesser spells. There he is. It's really dark. I don't even know if you guys can see him. The dogs aren't really a threat, but you still want to take out enemies at range, because it just makes your life so much easier. So I'm going to sidestep so I don't waste a spell on the barrel. And because of the way we came, all the enemies have their backs to us, and this just makes it even easier. Now there's a dog over here to the left, so instead of our binoculars, we're going to go to our shield, and we can just line this guy up real quick too. Actually, I'm going to go to my binoculars for a specific reason. That barrel that he's standing in front of, you do not want to hit that with your ranged attack. So you want to make sure that you've got him center. Make sure that you're going to hit him and have it a little bit up high. So you don't want your spell to go low, because if it hits the barrel's going to be destroyed, and we need that barrel, so don't destroy the barrel. Oh, he fucking destroyed it anyways. That piece of shit. He doesn't always do that, so we're going to have to do something else about that. We'll get into that in a moment. But we're going to use the shield now. Here's the doggy. And this is the only enemy that's really facing us at this point, just because of where it's positioned. We got some gold pine resin. We looted some of that in the very first episode, so you guys should know what that is, but just in case you don't, it's a resin that you're able to apply to your right hand weapon and give it some electrical properties for a moment in time. So we got some puppies down here. There's two of them. There's a second one. And if that barrel doesn't work for you guys, if the enemy destroys it or you hit it on accident, don't worry about it, because we'll be able to make that situation work out very shortly. Now, you can hear something going on if you're standing in this area. It sounds weird. You might think it's an enemy or something like that, but enemies really don't do anything unless they see you, so they're usually not making sounds. If you're in an area and you hear a sound and you know that you can't be seen by any kind of enemy, then you can pretty much have a strong educated guess that it's an NPC. And the NPC that's located back here is actually Macduff. And we can't get in there. You need a key that we'll obtain later on. but we can also get in there by using this wall once it explodes and opens up. So we can't access that just yet because that barrel was destroyed. So all we're going to do is we're going to go retap that bonfire, and I'm going to edit the video so we're back at this location again. Okay guys, so we're back here, and I want to mention that you can't actually run back and tap that bonfire. You have to use a homeward bone. So it's okay to use one of those. We can always buy more of those if you need them, but you should have plenty of them in your inventory. We've picked up quite a few of them. So I think I had 8 or 9, and I haven't even used one up to this point. So you should have plenty in stock for sure. So use that, and then make your way back to this point here, and make sure that you've got your Great Soul arrow on, so we can try to kill him as quickly as possible. I don't want him to destroy that barrel, so let's get our shots off as quickly as we can. There we go. Okay, so the barrel is good. Now, I didn't even see him really swing last time, but for whatever reason the barrel blew up, so I'm not quite sure. Maybe he did swing and I didn't recognize it, but all we're going to do is walk straight forward into this barrel and push it down the stairs. Okay, it's okay that it didn't blow up. Now, sometimes it will. If it doesn't veer off to the left like that and bump into the wall, then it's going to roll straight down the stairs and it'll blow up. You can't really control the direction the barrel takes. You saw we just walked straight forward into it. We didn't push it left or right, and it still rolled down that way. So I would say half the time it's going to roll down straight, and the other times it's going to roll to the left. I've never seen it roll to the right. But we do have those dogs over there, and we have to be careful about them exploding the barrel. So we got to get in there quick, and to avoid that, I'm going to rush and melee attack them. Because I want them over here. I do not want them to attack towards the barrel. So we can now move the barrel where we want it. So we'll walk it over here a little bit. And this should be a good location for it. And you can use your Pyromancy Flame. So we're going to go to that. And then we'll use our Fireball spell. And then we're going to get our binoculars on. And we're just going to throw it. Kabloomy. So that is the perfect example of how to execute that move. Now, obviously it's not something that you're going to figure out very easily, but there were a few hints, specifically the crack in the wall, the fact that the enemy had it at the very top of the stairs, and if we approached the standard way, which we'll learn about in a moment, he would have kicked the barrel down at us. But usually when they kick the barrel down, it's going to hit this wall and it's going to explode on the side of the wall and do nothing. Or we're going to see it and we're going to roll out of the way, and because we do that, the barrel actually kind of follows us a little bit. It's kind of stupid, but just like when an enemy fires an arrow at you, it seems to arc towards you, which is ridiculous, but it does that anyways. So it has the same effect. It follows you ever so slightly, so it'll put it off course. But if the enemy kicks the barrel and you're standing right here when it happens and you don't move until it gets down to you, or if you just let it blow up on you, then it's going to blow a hole in this wall. So you should be okay. But you'll always be able to manipulate it by doing the way that I just showed you. Now, we get access to our bonfire, but before we do that, we're going to come in here. Now, this is our next merchant, so we'll go ahead and talk to him. We can't do anything with him yet, but he gives us a little bit of information, something that you need to know. So he says, fetch a new ember, flame, dear flame. And he's basically telling you he's not going to do shit until he gets this item. So in the meantime, we're going to loot all these chests. And there's nothing like super awesome in here, but it's definitely worth picking up. You never know when you're going to need something. The shards are great, of course. Alright, so we've got some nice upgrade materials. You'll come to this door and you can't open it still, but because of the hole that we've created, now we've got the access point that we need to get to this bonfire, and obviously this blacksmith here. And the great thing about this blacksmith is he's going to do all kinds of imbuements. So this is probably the most important blacksmith to your playthrough. So we're going to tap the bonfire one more time, and you can see that now we have a quick portal to Macduff's workshop, and it is still in the Lost Bastille, but it's our third bonfire point, and we haven't been here very long, so you can see that we've got quite a few access points now to move around thanks to that crow's nest shortcut. But this also isn't too far from our original bonfire, which we're going to return to now because there's nowhere else that we can really go at this moment without having to backtrack much further if we proceed anywhere else. So we're going to return to the Exile holding cells. And now we're going to work our way from where we last stopped the episode after we killed the Flexile Sentry. Now we're going to work our way up and to the bonfire we were just at. So this is all pretty easy. There's no real tough fights or anything waiting for us, especially for the playing style that we've adopted for this walkthrough. Now you will see the enemy ahead of us, and this is another Haid Knight, and just like the one before that we killed, this Haid Knight will drop a special weapon for us, and it's the Haid Spear, and it's going to have lightning damage properties attached to it. So these guys are pretty tough, and they have high health, and they deal a lot of damage, and he has really big range. So we want to hit him with sorcery and be as far away as we can while we do it, so we can give ourselves some time to escape backwards once he approaches. Alright, so I'm going to focus in on him. See, if I don't roll back a couple times there, he's definitely going to connect with you. And they do so much damage that he could possibly break your guard, stun you, whatever it tends to be. So you want to keep yourself as far away from them as possible. So here we've got the Haid Spear. Let's go ahead and evaluate it, even though it's pretty much the same thing as the Haid Sword that we're using right now, but in spear form. So let's see, where's that guy? Why don't I see it? Did I not loot it? I feel like I'm blind right now. I know you guys must see it, but I don't. I don't know. I was looking at that, and it looked like a sword to me. I see all the other swords now have this downward angle to them, and the spear is angled up, so now it makes more sense. Okay, anyways. So here's the Haid Spear, a spear originating in Haid. A special alloy makes it very durable. The composition of the alloy of these spears remains a mystery, but in Drangleic, the attempt to imitate it resulted in a similar Braden steel. And you can see here it takes a strength requirement of 12 and a dexterity requirement of 25. So this isn't really an item that we're going to use. It is very effective, but to invest 25 dexterity in this item just now is not really worth it. We've got much more important things to do for an item that we probably use a small amount of time. So don't really worry about this thing. Besides, a spear is really designed for a heavy player, something that's gonna not really intend to use ranged. You can hold a very strong shield, and your intention is to burst through other enemies' defenses and keep them at bay, but as well as have heavy armor and a nice heavy shield just in case they penetrate your stabbing, thrusting spear. Alright, we've got an enemy down here, so we want to destroy these crates. So don't roll too far, but you can see them now. And if you're a melee kamikaze, you can just drop on his head. But we've got some other stuff that we need to do. We can go ahead and kill those dogs too. There's two of them. You probably only see that one, but we'll get the second one. And you notice that every time I cast a spell, if I'm close to an edge, I'll step back a little bit. And now we see our other dog. Perfect. Now there's no more enemies down below there, so that's a safe zone for us. You can see the ladder on how to get there, but we're not actually going to use that ladder. We're going to drop down here because there's an item below to the right. So make sure that you've got some health before you fall, because it is going to do some damage. Alright, so we're going to drop down below here. There's nothing waiting for you, don't worry about it. And we get a soul in human effigy. So now we can This is also another area where you can get some ranged kills on these enemies. If you don't snipe them from above, you can come down here and you get a good line of sight on the dogs. Now, if you noticed from up above, there was a soul item on this area right here. So just come over and destroy this. A lot of you might be wondering how to get that and not thinking that you can actually defeat that tower right there. So I think we've picked up alluring skulls before. I might have actually explained them when we were looking at one of the merchants with their inventory. But we'll go down and take a look at that, and I'll go ahead and explain what these are. If you're a Dark Souls 1 player, you probably already know, but the Alluring Skulls is a skull of unknown ownership. Smashing it releases traces of souls which attract nearby foes. Does not work on all enemies, but can prove useful in unexpected ways. Okay, so the best way to use this is, well, there's multiple ways to use this, quite honestly. But if you're in an area that there's enemies that you just can't get by, maybe there's a few, like 3 or 4 small enemies that just overwhelm you because they keep getting to your defenses, and they're not powerful alone, but all together they're beast mode. So you can like smash the Alluring Skull in their vicinity, and it's basically like a form of bait, and they swarm to it, and then you can sprint by them. Or if you've got one stronger enemy that actually is enticed by the Alluring Skull, it doesn't work for all mobs, so you have to understand which ones it will and won't work for. But assuming it works on the mob that you're trying to defeat, you can throw it there and get in a lot of damage easily before it refocuses back on you. And that was a tactic that we used primarily for stronger enemies in Dark Souls 1, or if you just wanted to bypass an area. So there's different applications that you can choose to use it for. I rarely use it. It's not something that I typically think of to use. I can always find a way to defeat an enemy or bypass it without having to do so. So just know that that is an option for you if you're struggling in a certain area. Now we've got the ladder here to take us back up top if you need to, but we don't need to go back there for any reason. And this is where the other enemy would have been, but we killed him from up top. And I don't know, his corpse, I don't know where his corpse is at. So you're going to walk down here, and around this corner we're going to get some loot. And you can actually see the bonfire that we stopped at before. So this is very key. We get our Estus Flask shard. So now we can put our Estus Flask to 6 uses instead of 5, which is always welcome. And if you're playing right, 6 Estus Flask uses is plenty. You've also got all these other healing wares, so you shouldn't struggle too much. I never use Fireball. I don't know why I had that on. You can see how easy these dogs are. If you just back away from them, they really have no offense whatsoever. So the Fireball is such a slow casting spell that you really only want to use it if you've got the jump on something, or using it for a specific purpose like we did on that wall around the corner here. Now when we open this, we're just going to have to kill those 2 dogs. So you can melee them, or you can use your sorcery. They don't have a lot of health, and you've got a decent shield, and their bleeding effect is really weak. So you can do whatever you want, but they'll both kind of come at you one at a time. They're not nearly as aggressive as they used to be. It's kind of weird. You would think that they would improve upon specific enemies in the past, but the little hellhounds are actually way more effective in Dark Souls 1 than they are in this. So there's a guy with the barrel, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. If we approach the stairs, he's going to push it. What's up, bro? You got to go really far, actually. It's normally not like that. Alright, let's attack him with a soul arrow. See if he responds. I don't want to hit the barrel. There you go. So you can see if we did it that way, it would have blown up that wall. get some room away from this guy. Now they have really sweeping ranged attacks, so you want to be careful. But if you go in for melee, you can stun them rather easily, because as you can see, they're not really wearing any kind of significant armor. So if you're a melee fighter and you go in and you get 2 or 3 hits, you're going to stun them, which means you get a couple more hits and you'll kill them before they ever even swing their weapon. We just don't deal that much melee damage, but it would probably take us 3 hits at this point with the Haid Knight Sword to put them in that stun trance. So you can see here, there's our barrel. Don't swing at it with your sword. Now we can tap the bonfire if you like. And you technically should, because the last bonfire that you rested at was the other one down the way. So we're here now. We're tied to this bonfire. And now we're going to kill those dogs again. Now remember, there's going to be 3 dogs, because there's 2 right here and then 1 on the other side of the fence as well. But the fence is open now, so they're all tied together. Why am I switching that? Okay. So we'll use our soul arrows. Come kill the other doggy. There he is. And now we'll kill this guy. And don't worry about that soul. We'll get that. See, you can even stun him with sorcery if you hit him enough consecutively. Okay. So now we're coming back up the stairs, and we're going to be facing all the enemies this time. Before, we had to jump on them, but we're still going to be so far away from them that we can take them out with our ranged attacks. Now, we've got a dog here to our right, so you want to shield up. Now be careful when you're auto-targeting something, because if it jumps off the side of the wall and you're pretty close to it and you swing, you're going to follow it all the way off. And there's no worse way to die than the auto-target fall of death. It's so frustrating. So get the right angle here, kill this pup. Should have just this guy. I don't think there's another dog here. Yeah, okay, we're good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the one area that we didn't before, and that's over here. Just to be safe, I like to smash the barrels so I have all this room to navigate in case I need to escape back this way and do combat out here. Now when we walk into this room, there's going to be a bunch of knights in here, these little soldiers, and we can manage it to where either 3 come at us or 2 come at us, but if you do it wrong, then 5 will come at you. And it's not always as simple as it sounds, but we're just barely going to walk in, and then we should aggro a couple of them. So you can see there to the left, this guy, and he's got 2 other guys right next to him. So when he runs, they run. And these 2 down there, you can only see one of them right now, but there's another one. If all 5 of these guys get aggroed at you, it's kind of a pain in the ass. It's definitely doable, and it's easy enough for a player that knows what they're expecting, but it's still not something that you want to have happen. So hopefully we just drug those 3. And what I like to do is get in this doorway. I'll kill one, damage another, and start swinging already. They're weak enough to not really concern ourselves with. So just dealing with 3 is easy enough. I was a little bit careless with how I fought. I could have taken it much more patiently. Easily could kill them without taking any damage with our soul arrows. And we definitely have plenty of those to not take that risk. But it's just a lot faster for me to do it melee, so I decided to do it that way. But now I can switch to my soul arrow. And you know what? I'm going to get rid of that pyromancy flame for a minute because we haven't been using... Oh, shit. We haven't been using that enough to make it worthwhile. So you can see here, if you target them in the doorway, you're going to stack them up and they can't move through one another. So if the one that you're attacking first is stuck in the doorway, you're going to be killing them essentially one at a time. Okay, so you don't want to move down there just yet. We're going to move down to this room. Another reason why you don't want to fight enemies in certain areas is because some of these zones are small and they have rooms filled with explosive barrels. So you don't want to be trapped in one of these rooms when all those barrels blow up, because they're going to really screw you up. So here we go. This door is basically leading to your death. Sometimes some asshole will leave a note here that says like treasure ahead, and you'll open the door and you'll fall to your death. You don't fall to your death when you open it. You see here. However, if I try to close this door, which you can do, you're going to fall to your death just by that animation of closing the door. So you can see there's nothing to be had from opening that door. It's a bastard door. You could see it from the outside. I actually noticed it in my first playthrough, and I was very aware of that door being a trap when I came down here to open it. So I just wanted to open it just to show you guys what actually is behind that door. Alright, so we're going to loot this here and climb up the ladder. Now there's going to be some enemies up here, but they're going to have their backs towards us. So this is a good opportunity for us to get the jump on them. So you want to move a little bit slow, and you can see they have no idea that we're there. So I can move down here, and I can equip my ranged weapon, and I can fight them like that. You really don't need to be afraid of them if you want to melee them too. You can see they get stunned by the magic. So each successful hit that you hit them with a sorcery spell, they're going to get stunned and it's going to delay their attack. So you've got a lot of time with your sorceries to do damage there. Now, when we open this, this is one of the rooms that is just loaded with explosive barrels, and it's really small, so if you get hit with one of those barrels in there, you're probably going to get killed. But it's the same room at the end of the hallway that we could see earlier, and I told you not to go into, and that's why we went the back way around it. Now you can kill this guy from here, but if you swing at him and you hurt him, they're just going to run down the hallway and come at you from the other end, which is totally fine. Now what they're going to do is they're going to climb up this ladder, or they're going to come at you down below. I like to meet them down below. You'll see them already. Oops. And even though this shield doesn't do 100% physical damage reduction, it's only 90%, it's still a great benefit. And just that small damage that it does when you keep your shield up is way worth it, especially when I'm wearing the rejuvenation ring. So all those little hit points that are getting taken away from me are coming back pretty quickly. So we can't open this from this side, but there's another item over here that we're going to loot. Where is it at? I think it might be this door, yeah. And there's also an NPC summon sign here. And this is the Pilgrim Belclair. This NPC is really effective for the boss fight that we're going to have in a moment. And what this NPC is a sorcerer, and they have great evade techniques. So that's really needed in the boss fight that we're going to encounter shortly. I'm not going to summon them just yet because I'm going to go back down this area and I'm going to open up that passageway. So we're just going to slide back down. And you can see this area really isn't much of a threat to us. Just like most of the game, if you take your time and you know your surroundings, you're not going to be in too much danger. So pretty much most of the time when you're playing Dark Souls, if you die, it's just because of careless activities. So here we are, we're back in that room. Now we can open this way. And now we've just got a much easier route to get here in the first place. So you can see recognizable areas now. Everything really connects well in this game. You can start to see where you've been, places like that. Alright, and I just had a slight recording hiccup there, so I had to edit back to this point a little bit. I knew it right away, so I didn't progress in the game or anything like that. But now we're back on point, and we're going to summon the NPC, and they're going to help us in this boss fight, primarily because we're going to try a sorcerer tactic where we're fighting 3 bosses essentially. And the bosses are basically a hollow suit of armor that are possessed, and they're going to be difficult to fight with melee because of the style of character that we have. We can't tank a lot of damage. We can't hold too many shields with heavy physical resistance and good stability. So what will happen is if we're in close fighting them and keeping our shield up like we'll need to, they're going to hit us and stun us, and they've got a lot of sweeping attacks that will hit you multiple times and just wear your stamina out completely, and we'll have our guard broken and get owned really quickly. So the point of this tactic for us is to use our sorceries and also use the NPC to keep them occupied. Now, at first, we'll only fight 1v1. So we'll be able to kill the first of the 3 bosses without the other 2 intervening. But we want to stay on top of the platform if we can. We're going to immediately enter, and on our left is going to be the boss, and they're going to attack us straight away. So we want to stay on that platform if possible. In best case scenario, the boss will jump off the platform and we'll be alone up top, so we don't have any risk of damage, and we'll be able to cast sorceries on them while our NPC summon fights them as well. Now, if we defeat the first boss and for some reason we're about to fall off the bottom or fall to the bottom floor, then you want to spread out, keep both of the other bosses in front of you, and hopefully the NPC will still be alive to distract one of them, and then we can continually use range attacks. So I'm going to use my shield and my sorcery at first, and I'm going to use just a regular soul arrow until I can get the enemy on the ground. If I have to kill the first boss up on the first platform, that's okay. We'll just see how this goes, and I'll explain it while it's happening. So you can see they attack me immediately. Oh, and I fucked everything up just right off the bat. So the other 2 bosses are going to stay up there until we kill that one. But hopefully Pilgrim will... Okay, there we go. Now Pilgrim comes down here. Now we're fucked. So this is going to make things a lot more difficult. Let's see if we can work this out anyways. Alright, this is what happens when you've got 3 of them out here. You need to keep them all in front of you so you're aware of what's going on. But we're not going to do enough damage fast enough to kill these guys. You see how much ground they cover, and Pilgrim's doing a great job by keeping them all occupied, but we're just going to get screwed once she's dead. They're going to close the distance on us, and there's just nothing we can do. You're going to hope that they all attack at the same time. This is going to be a brutal fight. Yeah, see. And it's best to use life gems at this point. You want that slow heal working, just in case you can't take any damage. See, the problem is right now, they're all split up. We want them all bunched together. When they split up like that, it's really difficult. There we go. Alright. So we'll get to do this the right way. I won't fall off immediately. Alright, so we're back at the fog gate. Let's do this the right way this time. I can switch to my melee weapon while I'm up here if I like. Now remember to take your shield down when you're not using it. There he's close to the edge. Hopefully he'll fall off. Nope, almost. Now we can just sit here and tank the damage to help the Pilgrim do more damage. It's good that the Pilgrim will have almost all their hit points when they go down below. So remember, by the time that enemy is dead, we'll be all good. There we go. Now the other two are going to drop. Now if we remain up here, they'll jump up here. So this one's going to probably come up. But if the Pilgrim drops, then they might stay below. And that's exactly what we want. So there we go. We can focus in on one of them. Now we're going to get a hell of a lot of damage from up here. You can see how much damage the Pilgrim does. Pilgrim is very powerful. Be careful not to fall off. Let the Pilgrim ride out as long as they can. Alright, now that there's one of them, we can drop down. Go ahead and grab your souls if you died like me. The Pilgrim did exactly what we needed them to do. They stayed strong for a while. And that's one of those attacks that you just have to be careful about. See how much damage they do to our poise right off the bat. So we just need to get them to do an attack that we can heal up on. There we go. Now we should be able to ride out with this. Wait for attacks to land and then use our sorcery. Oh, stupid pillar. See, once they put their shield up, our sorcery isn't worth shit. Now that does damage even if you're close to it. So you got to be careful about that. See, the whole point, the whole tactic of this is to stay up as long as we can. And the reason I jumped down after we killed the second Sentinel is because the other Sentinel was so far in the corner that we would have had to fight it with our binoculars, and it wasn't going to stay stationary. It just wouldn't have been realistic. So in order for us to get target, we had to drop down and get closer to it. And when it's just by itself, you can evade it long enough to do enough damage sorcery-wise. This fight's pretty damn easy if you do it right. Obviously, I died the first time just because I fell off the top platform like right away, which was horribly, horribly bad. Okay, now there's a bunch of hidden doors down here. Typically, you'll see little notes on the ground for people to help you out. So you want to run to the notes and just press the A button or your action button, whatever it takes for you to interact with walls. You're going to loot the things that you could see right off the bat. So we got the rusted coin. Pointless. So there's nothing in there. Even if you don't see a note, I just suggest running up to every wall and pressing the A button. Alright, so we got a new shield. Let's check out the target shield. That's this guy right here. Small metal shield with protrusions. Small shields are very light and very easy to use. but are not very stable when attacked. The protrusions on the center of the shield are designed to brush attacks aside and make parrying easier. This item has a strength requirement of 8 and a dexterity requirement of 12. So this is definitely something that we'll be able to use in the near future pretty easily. Alright. And now, I'm positive that there's not another secret door after this one. But just to show you guys so you don't have to do it, that one that we just opened was the last one. Pressing A, pressing A, pressing A. Yeah, okay. Alright, so that was the last one. So we'll go back to that one. There it is, okay. Now there's another secret door right here. And this is a sorcery called Hush, and this is going to make our movements silenced. But we'll go ahead and read the description anyways. There it is. Hush, a sorcery that facilitates surreptitious activity, reduces the sound made by its caster. The eastern land of Myra is not only the home of proud knights, there is also a traditional order of shadow knights who quietly carry out unspeakable tasks. Spooky shadow knights. And this is where we get that item that you could see on the dead body. So we got some more homeward bones to replace the one that we used earlier. Awesome. Now you can roll off here if you like. It's not going to kill you. Obviously this is where we fell earlier. And let's try to find that one door that we need. Yep, okay. And you're going to hear something. And these guys are actually pretty dangerous. You need to be careful. There's going to be a fake door right here. And there's a guy in there, and you need to kill him like instantly. But don't damage that chest too much or you destroy it. So here we get our first rouge water. And this is basically a potion. And we'll take a look at that. It's over here. And it restores hit points and spell uses. Rouge water, crimson water of unknown origin, restores hit points and spell uses. Though known to some as red holy water, not everyone acknowledges its holy status. Very important information. So that's a really good object to have. You're not going to come across a lot of those. But, you know, if you need it, if you're desperate in a situation, use it. There's no reason to hoard on to stuff. So now we're ready to leave this area. You can see that that's where we entered the boss fight. You can see how small that platform was and how easy it was to fall off of it. So this is where we go to exit. Death ahead. Now if there's a bad guy up here on the left, so we want to walk up there and roll away. He just suicide bomber. He's, you know, it's a real Dark Souls terrorist right there. Now we're at the next bonfire. We're going to go ahead and tap that. Let's check out where we at. So we're at Servants' Quarters. You can see here, this is our fourth bonfire in the Lost Bastille. Now we're going to return to Majula. Going to put our souls to use. And we're also going to put that Estus Flask Shard to use as well. I know those items, when you pick up an Estus Flask Shard, it's easy to forget that you have that thing.
Here to see luck.
It's good. That's why they actually have Emerald Herald to remind you that you have one in your inventory. But she doesn't always do that. So if you miss that chance to upgrade it, she won't tell you about it. Excuse me. Alright, so let's go ahead and level up. Now we're going to start working on our dexterity. We want to get dexterity up to, we'll put it up to 15 for now. And actually we're going to take it up to 20. And now we're going to bring up our vitality, because we want to start having our equipment load a little bit higher. That way we can start carrying better armors, better shields, and we're going to improve our strength based upon the requirements of those shields that we want to equip. So down the road, we'll be carrying better shields so we can have better poise and not get our block broken so easily. Nice. Awesome. So that's going to be it for this episode, everybody. I appreciate you joining me. I hope you learned something today. If you did, click the thumbs up button. Subscribe if you aren't a subscriber already. Leave a comment below. Talk to me. I always answer my questions. So I'll see you guys next time, and take it easy. Peace. Hey everybody, thank you so much for checking out my video and supporting my channel. If you haven't already, be sure to follow me on all my social media accounts. And if you're feeling generous, click the donate button. Every little bit goes a long way in improving my ability to continually work on my channel.